having him on our club.
One guy who did get paid quietly last night, Cowboys defensive end Randy Gregory, who is currently serving his 4th suspension for substance abuse. According to Tom Pelissero, the Cowboys added a year and $735,000 to his contract. So if he plays at all, it will be for the Cowboys, with whom he is now under contract through 2020. And for more on the Cowboys, who kick off our NFC East roster reset today, here's Jane Slater in Frisco.
Dallas didn't exactly make a huge splash during free agency, but then again, that's been the trend in recent years. Instead, they believe they upgraded 2 positions on both the offensive and defensive side of the roster. Starting with wide receiver Randall Cobb, he fills the slot position vacated by Cole Beasley, who signed with the Bills in the offseason. Talking to wide receivers coach Sanjay Lal, he tells me their meeting was off the charts. This is a smart guy that wants to improve, but also prove himself following that injury-riddled season with the Packers. As for defense, well, they went out and traded, but also signed Robert Quinn to a 1-year deal, and they've got him playing on the left side. This signing is important when you consider the situation with Randy Gregory, who is indefinitely suspended again for yet another violation of the substance abuse policy. And then, of course, DeMarcus Lawrence, franchised for a 2nd year in a row. His camp is displeased with it and continues to tell me that there is not an offer on the table yet that makes sense. Now to Mike Garafolo with the Giants.
Here at the Giants facility on Tuesday, the team hosted a bunch of prospects in advance of this month's NFL draft. They included LSU linebacker Devin White. He's projected to go somewhere around the Giants' pick at number 6. Now, we've talked a lot about the possibility that the Giants might take a quarterback at 6, and they spent some time with Dwayne Haskins ahead of his pro day at Ohio State. But it's pretty clear this team is not feeling the pressure of taking a QB right there, that they believe in Eli Manning, and they think that he might have even multiple years of good football left. So White, a possibility maybe at 6 for a team that really intends to improve its defense in this draft. They could do it with White at 6. They could also do it at 17. They picked up from the Browns in the Odell Beckham trade. Dexter Lawrence, he could be a possibility there. The Clemson defensive tackle at 340 pounds, if not even a little bit more, by the way. He would qualify as one of those hog mollies that Dave Gettleman likes to talk about on both sides of the defensive line. So look for him as a possibility for the Giants, perhaps on the back end of the first round.
Giants looking to improve their defense in the draft. Redskins tried to do that in free agency by signing a former Giants defender, Landon Collins, getting a 6-year, $84 million deal from Washington. And according to Cynthia Freeland, he will help them improve in a pretty important category.
The Redskins made one of the splashiest free agent signings this offseason with the addition of Landon Collins, who will help offset for the losses of Preston Smith and Zach Brown. Washington's signing of Collins will help on 3rd down, where they ranked 29th last season, and it was even worse in manageable situations for the offense. On the other side of the ball, Washington needs to stay healthy in 2019 to have a chance at making the playoffs. Darius Geis was lost before the season, and the offensive line was injured throughout the season. Case Keenum was acquired from Denver, and the QB job is not settled for 2019. The Redskins may look to draft a quarterback in the 1st round after the team threw just 16 touchdowns last season. Washington has other needs as well and should look to improve at wide receiver, interior offensive line, and cornerback.
All right, so a lot of moves made in the NFC East, David Carr and LaDainian Tomlinson, but you think that the best move so far in this offseason in this division was made by the team that we didn't hear about there, and that's the Eagles.
Yeah, but, you know, it's kind of slim pickings because not much happened in the NFC East in terms of moves, but I'll say Jordan Howard, and here's why. When the Eagles won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, you think about the type of offense that they had. They had a really explosive offense, but the one element that they did have, they can get up on you and then they'll pound you. With LeGarrette Blount and then Jay Ajayi, they were 4th in the league in rushing, 132 yards rushing, all that good stuff. But that set the table for their offense. That allowed them to be balanced. But what they really wanted to do was throw the ball down the field. I feel like with Jordan Howard, they can kind of get back to doing what they did 2 years ago. They can pound you a little bit. They got Deshaun Jackson, so they're going to go down the field. They're going to score points. Now, when they do, Jordan Howard is going to be vital to finishing games.
Just a few additions there, but they do feel very impactful in terms of the way that the offense will look. Who stands out to you in this division as an addition that will make a difference?
Well, when I look at the
Cowboys, losing Cole Beasley was big. Yeah. I think that you're only as good as your depth at wide receiver and the weapons that you can put on the field, because then you put pressure on the defense. So bringing Randall Cobb in and then getting Jason Witten back, I think it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Amari Cooper. Randall's a guy that can work in the middle, just like Cole Beasley. He still can play. He can still play this game at a high level, and especially being not the #1 guy. I mean, he's a guy that is kind of a role player, like he was with Devontae Adams and Jordy Nelson there in Green Bay. He's going to fit perfectly in the slot there, and then along with Jason Witten, that brings some guys to the inside that you can match up with, and then you can let everything else kind of flow around that. Then you have that presence in the middle, and Jason Witten, as we've all known his whole career, he's been that guy that can still body people up. He's still a crafty guy. He doesn't have to run 4.5, right? Which I don't think he's ran in 10 years, right, or ever, right? So but he knows how to get open, and he's going to help Dak a lot, and he's going to help Amari and all those guys kind of do their thing as well.
What about the Redskins? Do you think they're okay at quarterback?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're okay because Alex is injured. We don't know what's going to happen with him. But the guys that they have there, I like Colt. I think that he was injured at the end of the season, but Colt's a guy that I think can still play. And then you bring in Case. I mean, I think when you look at what's out there in the free agents or in the draft, I think Case Keenum and Colt McCoy are better than any of the options that you have out there. So you go into camp, you let these guys battle it out. These are guys that have been around for a long time. They're going to know how to put your team in position. Now, look, the Redskins aren't going to go win the Super Bowl this year. I don't think anyone thinks that's going to happen. So you have two experienced guys while Alex is getting healthy. And I just don't see a guy that you say, yeah, we got to go get him. Unless you're going to move up to like #1 and try and make something crazy happen, I just don't see a guy out there that's going to make your Redskins team that much better.
Nobody beats out Case or Colt.
I don't think so. Not at this point. They're too experienced and they have enough talent to get it done.
Interesting. How about the Giants? They say that they like their quarterback. They say that they have a plan moving forward. Do they have a competitive roster?
The Giants are a mess right now. They are. I mean, I'm just going to flat out and say it, and Gettleman is telling us to trust him. But it's hard for me to trust him when he's giving away players and not getting much value in return for the Giants. So the draft is going to be everything for the Giants. Now, can they hit on some draft picks? Sure. But I'm not comfortable relying on rookies. I don't like rookie receivers coming in and trying to have huge production. I'm not a fan of that. So I think this Giants team will be very basic. You know, they're going to rely on the run game with Saquon Barkley, obviously. Hopefully they can protect Eli. Eli can make some plays. But who is he going to throw to? Golden Tate? He's not a #1. I'm sorry. He's not a #1 at this point.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to get somebody in the draft. And defensively, they don't have enough pieces. They've given away a lot of guys, so I don't see this team being able to do much.
Well, specifically speaking with regards to the draft, they have 12 picks with which to work. That's a lot. They have 2 in the first round, and then they have 1 in the third and 1 in the second. So the bulk of their picks are on day 3. They'll have to stock up on some talent there. Scott?
Well, we had another team kicking off their offseason program today. The Denver Broncos, now led at quarterback by Joe Flacco. Guys getting in the weight room, getting to work today, taking advantage of the rule that allows new head coaches to get their teams in early. So day 1 for the Vic Fangio era. James Palmer has a report from Englewood.
Now, the final remaining member of the no-fly zone here with the Denver Broncos was a no-show for the first day of voluntary activities under new head coach Vic Fangio. Cornerback Chris Harris Jr., regarded as one of the best cornerbacks in football, perhaps the best slot cornerback in football, would like a new contract. I'm told his absence is connected to that. He's operating in the final year of his current contract, where there's 22 cornerbacks that are paid more than him this season. Now, John Elway has made it abundantly clear that he would like to talk with Chris Harris's representation after the draft about a possible extension. But remember, things are voluntary, and we'll follow this as it goes. In terms of maybe the best player on this team in Von Miller, he is going to play this season about 10 pounds heavier than he has in the previous seasons, at about 245 pounds. He doesn't think it'll affect his get-off. He's one of the fastest guys there in the league. He does feel like it will help him quite a bit interacting with offensive linemen at the line of scrimmage.
Next on NFL Total Access, a first-rounder back in